Mr. Chachra, your initial impressions of the BJP manifesto, do you think that it covers, that 360-degree area where, a number of factors, which start from the ground up all the way till our foreign policy are covered?
Thank you, and greetings on Ambedkar Jayanti. Let me just start off and say with the BJP Sankalp Patra out today, we are well within the festival of democracy, our general elections, the largest in the world. And Vinayji, as you know, this is the International Year of Elections, and 49% of our global population is going to exercise their franchise. So this is a very, very important year for India, but also globally. But let me also say, from an early reading, I've had a quick read as the BJP's Sankalp Patra released today. I find it visionary, but quick read of it. But let me say the substantive response in the agenda as promised in the BJP's manifesto today. But I may also add those which were released earlier of the other parties. Now, if you put it all together, these represents the aspirations of our people, of our vulnerable people, of our overall population. And this bodes well as we go to polls. But let me come to the point of what you asked. What do I like about this manifesto in the headlines? So first of all, the symbolism of it. It's being launched today on Ambedkar Jayanti. So it promises implicitly and tacitly the issue of social justice. And I think that's very, very crucial from where I sit and from where I speak. Number two, I also do think that the opening of the manifesto and the opening part of presenting the manifesto, the Honorable Prime Minister brought the message home and he invoked the symbolism of the thali in the sense of, not just nutrition, but also in the sense of affordability of that thali, but also in terms of dignity of work associated with the thali. So I think it was a very direct messaging. And I think within the Gyan framing, the Garib, Yuva, Annadata and Nari framing, which were being spoken of earlier in the budget, I think this has been carried off very well. And I like that direction of thinking that this manifesto embodies. Point number three, I think where there's a departure point, and that's good, is that apart from redistribution, more could have been done. I'll come to that. But apart from redistribution, this manifesto also touches and importantly centralizes the issue of aspirations of Indians, the question of growth, with redistribution. So I think that's important. And in doing so, it talks of not just self-reliance, a message which is long, which is hopeful, it has a huge history since our independence. So it brings that message of self-reliance to us. But much more importantly, in the end part of introducing the manifesto, the messaging of responsible internationalism. So nationalism with internationalism is music to many of our ears. Let me put it there. The Prime Minister spent a lot of time today, and interestingly and importantly, talking about the world of work. He talked of green jobs. He talked of Industry 4.0. He talked of young people of India. He talked of Nari Shakti. He was talking of drone didis and interestingly, very specifics and also social infrastructure for workers. He was talking of truck drivers, for instance. But in any way, the world of work, I may say, Vinayji, has undergone huge transitions in these last decades. And I think as these transitions go, a lot of people are very insecure with this world of work. Apart from skilling, I think the need of the hour. And I would have expected that we as a social organization have been consulting with tens of thousands of people in different districts from our perspective of how we can serve it together and serve them better. And we hear this message often, the need for guaranteeing, whatever guarantee we call it. In this instance, it will be a Modi guarantee, for instance, guaranteeing dignified work to all. In a constitutional aspect, it will mean a right to work. Embodying a right to work would be a departure point for future. And I think I want to touch on the question of dignity. As I said, it's been launched today on the 14th of April, Ambedkar Jayanti. You see, while the Manual Scavenging Act was, manual scavenging was abolished, amended and abolished, many forms of untouchability, caste-based work continue in the world of work. These need to be annihilated. So I think the question of caste being annihilated in the world of work is a set of expectations a lot of people in India have. Despite of all the Manual Scavengers Act, for instance, in the world of work, whether it's cremation ground workers, whether it's other workers, caste plays an important role. And I think we need a legislation to put a definitive end to cast in the world of work. I want to make two quick other points, expectations, which I think will be met as we go along. Manifestos at the end of the day are ambitions, are promises, and subject to evolution. The first is this question of definition of the world of work itself. When the Equal Wages Act, the Equal Remuneration Act was brought forward in 1976, work meant that formal workspace. Work did not include the world of work we have in our homes. Women, for instance, do 4 times more work at home. So I do see a future where we do have national campaigns and effort in party manifestos going ahead, which calls for a redistribution of work in the work at home, in the world of work, care work at home, for instance. Similarly, and lastly, Vinitji, in this first instance, I'm aware I'm running out of time, the Prime Minister spoke a lot about green jobs. I think there's a recognition that millions of people are already in green jobs. Who are these people? The fish workers of India who maintain water ecosystems, the nomadic pastoralists of India who actually regenerate species, build newer species, the agricultural workers who do organic and agroecological agriculture, the rag pickers of our cities who risk their lives in cleaning and segregating dirty waste, although there are transitions there still. I think we need to recognize these as ecological workers and their ecological services in continuation with what the BJP manifesto promises of green jobs. Their services needs to be recognized as green jobs. Their services need to be compensated, and an ecological valuation and remuneration of their services need to be done. So there are many more things to end it to say, but the direction of travel seems important. The direction of travel would benefit from many of these issues that are surfacing as reactions or early reactions to manifestos as parties are releasing their manifestos. Thank you very much.